Hello, this is Jennetta Billhimer, and it's great to see everyone. Um, I am really excited to be interviewing Emmasara McMillion. She has so much that she is bringing to the world. I'm really excited about what she is doing. She's really um, all for children's rights, and in fact, she has got a he has a group that is Families of Change Movement, and she is all about letting people know about how much power families really actually have, and she's just about the future of the nation, and talks about how the world really rests upon the shoulders of families. And she's all about empowering families and faith and family and finance too. She's the mother of 8 children, and doesn't she look young for having 8 children? And her oldest is 21, and your youngest is 3, I
Yes.
think.
Mm-hmm.
And we are today we're going to be talking about your family's superpowers, which she's got so many different things to share, but we decided to talk about this today. And so I really want to welcome Emmasara to talk with you today. She's a member actually of our group, and I'm so excited to have her here. So welcome, Emmasara.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. I am Emmasara. Like you said, I'm the founder of the Mother of Change movement, and also, actually, you said the Families of Change movement, but there's a branch or a tree trunk, I should say. This is how I just say it, or how I explain it typically. We have a tree, okay, and we have the Families of Change movement, and off that we have some branches. We have Mother of Change, we have Kids of Change, and we are looking to get that Fathers of Change branch on there as well. But
I
fathers are
love
welcome,
that.
yes, and families. I really believe that the future of our nation, like you said, does rest upon the shoulders of families to create change. And I believe, if we want world change, that it begins with stronger families. So we're extremely passionate as a family of 10 to do our part to, equip, to encourage, and to empower families to live up to what I believe is God's highest calling for this earth, and to be people who, populate it, but not just populate with positivity, with strength, like you said, faith, family, and finance. And the financial piece is more about stewardship, being good stewards of, whatever God gives us, and learning how to flourish and creating a family legacy is extremely important to everything we do within our platform, which is Extreme Change University. And that is a learning platform for families to experience an extreme change makeover. If you guys remember that extreme home makeover, I used to love when do you remember that show? Like, they would all say move the bus, and they wanted to see the before and the after. And what I'm passionate about is, seeing that metaphorical bus move when a family comes in tattered, worn, Emmasara, I need some help, and then move that bus, and they're empowered, and they're communicating better, and they are loving each other more, and they're growing in faith, family, and finance. So that's what I'm pretty passionate about.
I love that. And you're an author too. Um, so Emmasara is the author of Mother of Change. And then she's also written a book, Fearless Birth. So she and I have a lot in common this way. We we both love birth, and yeah, have a lot of
And
things.
birth is an it should be empowering, but it took me a while. I don't know, Jennetta, we didn't
Oh
specifically
yeah,
share birth stories, but it was a journey to
it
find
was a
out that
journey
birth.
for
Mhm,
me.
yes.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons that I was led to this work, that I knew that it could be different for other families. And the same for homeschooling, being able to empower mothers and fathers to homeschool, and to lead their families, and really know how important that is, um, is a huge passion of mine as well.
Well, I definitely think that both moms, and not just mothers, but mothers and fathers, are the unsung heroes of our nation. I think that they are, mamas out there who are watching, you are the unsung hero of our nation. And I just want to tell you that I am proud of you. And even if you've had a bad day, and even if there are dishes in your sink, and even if you didn't get to make the bed, you are doing a fabulous and spectacular job. So I just want to tell you that whoever needed that today, you are an unsung hero.
Maybe it was me who needed that today. Because I'm not perfect, and
Mhm.
I'm just yeah, but I want to empower other mothers just like me, um, to be able to do the things that they need to do, and
Yeah.
fathers and families. It's huge. It's so important, and I think that it's real that families are really underestimated in today's world, and that it's so important to look at how important it is of a job that it is that we are doing. It's
Absolutely.
huge.
And I really think that with, and this is not new news, but with social, um, just social media and Instagram and, people putting their best information out, that it can leave, a mom feeling less than or not as perfect as. And, we're getting ready to, getting ready to leave on a trip with my daughter to speak at an event in Atlanta. If anybody knows anybody in Atlanta, it's the one of the nation's largest homeschool conferences um, in the nation. And so we're going to be leaving for that. And my two of my other boys are leaving on their first like guy trip. I mean, my kids are growing up. And the house is, I have four other little kids. And, my 10-year-old's been doing 11-year-old. He's been doing an excellent job being a little chef, but I can only expect so much from them. And what I just want to share with y'all is that I had to get to a place where I had to be okay when my house didn't look great. I'm telling you, there were days if my house was in the condition that it looked like today, I would be extremely stressed. I would be, moody, whatever. I would be very in my emotions. And we'll talk a little bit later about the superpowers, but my superpower is I am what would be considered mighty mom. And that is like, mighty mom. There are different personality types, and mighty moms are very like result orientated, and we're not always sensitive to others needs, and we don't always see the good the kids done in the room. We see the one thing they forgot to put away. That's more of our bent. And so yeah, and so that, and we, and part of what I'll be sharing with y'all today is that as mothers and just people in general, okay, the human population is that God has created us each with a superpower, but in His magnitude and wonderfulness, that He only created for common personality types or behavior types. So it's not too complicated to understand where you stand in your behavior type or your superpower. But I always, and I'll just jump into that part real quick. So there's four moms behavior types. Okay, there's four superpowers. So we have mighty mom. Like I said, I just described her. Okay, and then we have influencer mom. Influencer moms are the moms who are going to have the beautiful Instagram pages. They're the moms who are always talkative. They're probably going to be the ones that are, if you have a teenager, want to be your kid's best friend. You might be a little bit more contemporary, or you're just more talkative. And this really is similar to the kids' superpower, but moms manifest a little bit differently. So we have influencer mom, and then we have your peacekeeper mom. And that's actually the same superpower name I gave for both the mother and children, have that same peacekeeper, and everybody needs a peacekeeper in the house. And thank the Lord, I have 8 kids, but I do have a very strong peacekeeper, and she's my oldest. Praise the Lord for the peacekeeper, because I have a daughter who is not a peacekeeper, and she's 18. And we love her, but
Superpower.
listen, I cannot be down on her too much, because her and I are a lot alike. And so, that's kind of how it happens. And so the last superpower for mama is an organized mom. So organized moms like systems, they like charts, they like details, and they're not an easy sell. They're the ones at the homeschool conference that are not going to just be impulsive. The influencer moms are the kinds that just, they probably have 10,000 shoes in their closet because they just had to get them because they're so beautiful. And those are, just some very, just what I would say, just surface of depth descriptions of what those types are. And so just knowing that about myself, okay, we're talking about being an unsung hero. We're talking about seeing, moms on social media as being perfect. But when you start to have a level of self-awareness, and this is the strength of knowing what your superpower is, this is the strength of knowing what your child's superpower is, because that creates a level of awareness that I'm telling you, the majority of the population don't have. Many people just go on autopilot. They're just living their life. They're just doing what they do because it's within them, without realizing why they're feeling why they feel, why they're reacting or responding. But when you start to have that level of awareness, it really is empowering. But with every superpower, I always tell, especially kids, because I understand, superheroes more, is that, what's the difference between a superhero and a villain? Well, first of all, let's talk about what they have similar. They both have a superpower. The only difference is that the superhero uses it for good and the villain uses it for bad. And in the same respect, Mighty Mom can get a lot done, but Mighty Mom can be very, ruthless as well. I can go and just be insensitive. And so I have really worked because I know I'm a 99 on that super mom. So it's really, really high. But it's not great for children because we have 4 types of children. We have which captain kid, and the captain kids are the kids you might consider bossy. You have your influencer kids that you want to stop talking already. That is a typical response until we learn through communication how to respond to them properly. You have the peacekeeper, like I said, is the same. They are stable. They really like, status quo. Please, mama, don't rock the boat. You start to raise your voice and you can almost feel the tension in their neck, like, oh, this, they will go to try to make a calm place for everybody. The world needs them, and God in his foreknowledge knew that they would be needed. So when you look at the disc, as far as percentages, the world is a lot more peacekeepers than there are. I think it's only 13% are the captains, and there's a great percentage of those who are the peacekeepers, because the world could be a lot harsher of a place with so many captains in the world. And then we have the thinker kid. So it would be the organized mom for the mom figure, but for a kid, it's the thinker kid. It's the kid that's really thinking things over, and they do want to make slow decisions. And with them, it's really important, if you have a thinker child, to not bombard them with information. Johnny, go throw out the clothes, pick up your shoes. Before you do that, empty out the dishwasher. And while you're at it, okay, I have a son who is our little chemist kid. He's I say little, my kids are growing up. He's 9 now. Oh, it even hurts to say that. I don't know. This last 2 years went by quickly, but I'll
Yes.
yes, he was.
What age are they now?
I know.
Yeah.
So when he was about 7, he's very calm, and he is very peacekeeper and thinker. Okay, so he talks slow. He doesn't. You don't even know he's in the room. He doesn't really say a peep. He's kind of a bookworm. He's a tech kid. He's like a little scientist kind of guy. But one day I saw something pop out of my son that I didn't realize he had within him. Okay, and this is the thing, is that they say watch out for the quiet ones, because those are the ones that explode because they stuff things. Okay, so peacekeepers and thinkers, they tend to stuff things. So that's something as a parent, when I do coaching, that we're looking for. If kids are having behavioral problems, then we go through we look at their DISC, because it's actually I didn't even tell you. Okay, so DISC is a behavior assessment. It's a non-judgmental behavior assessment that's been around for over 50 years. William Marston is the one, is the intermetrics disc, which I use, which has been the most tried and true testing out there. So it's been around for a long time. He is the one that actually developed and thought of the lie detector test. So there's a lot of science that has gone into it. So it's a very effective tool. And so when I learned about the disc and took it for myself, and then had all my family take it, my marriage, my brain, for my understanding my husband was like, oh, okay, that's why he's doing that. This whole time I thought, and I had my interpretation of what I thought he was and what he needed to do. And then I realized, oh, he's a thinker and he's a peacekeeper. And so I can't expect him to be overly aggressive because it's not within his personality, naturally. And so anyway, with the thinker kid, one day I was on the D mode and handing out those jobs because we are a delegator, when we're doing our thing. And he just turned around and he threw his hands in the air and he yelled at me. Okay, I laughed, but it was funny. It was, I don't like disrespect, but it was so not like him. He just blew up and yelled. He's like, will you just tell me one thing to do? Just, like it's too much for me. And I was like, oh, and then I went back to disc assessment. Okay, take your own coaching advice. The thinkers really do need one thing at a time, or give them a list to check off. But whatever you do, don't do it auditorily and then expect them to not melt down. So, and that's an important tool, because if you do have a child who's constantly melting down, it could be that you're, not speaking to them in their behavior language or responding to them in their behavior language.
Yeah. Now, is it possible that you could have some of each of these in you or anything like that? Because I'm kind of seeing like, well, I'm that and I'm that. And
that's good. No, that's an excellent question. So,
or is there like an assessment that then you'd be able to?
Yes. So on the assessment, it's very detailed. So, your superpower is it's a bar graph. So just picture a green, yellow, blue, and red graph. And so they're bars. So, the one that's the highest is what we consider your superpower, but you could have something, so if you're thinking bar graph, they could be all the way to 100 to 50. So right now, I am 99D and a 99I. Now, my D hasn't changed. It just never has changed. But my I has. It was a 67 before, and now it's 99. And the reason I was able to have a change, so like I said, the superpower is always normally going to stay the same. Sometimes if there's a big life occurrence, that can change. It is possible. I have seen it happen.
Where you need to kind of step into another role, perhaps.
When COVID happened or the quarantine happened and people were in a whole new paradigm, there was a lot of people just that changed at that time because they were it was a whole new world for them. So their thinking, everything changed. So I definitely saw that. For me, I was having a challenge with one of my children who needed me to be more communicative and funner and more lighthearted. And the eyes are fun and forgetful crew. They're the fun and forgetful crew. They're fun to have, or pleasure to have in class, but easily distracted. And so I saw a lot more joy and fun. I got roller skates. We all got roller skates. And so that's very much an I trait. And so my I went from 67 to 99. And what I thought was so neat about it was that I was already, feeling difference, operating in a difference, but it was so neat that the test is that sensitive that when I retested it, it was able to show that I did go up on that area. So you do have people, and that graph also shows you if you are introvert or extrovert, whether you're task related or whether you're people related. So it's very intricate. It's not just cut and dry. You're just this. You could have other elements. And so what's so neat about it is that I'll have to count them because I've done a lot. I probably did 100 last year, disc assessments, but it's always fun to do a disc assessment for somebody, never meet them and be able to tell them about themselves or their children, and they're like, wow, this is like really interesting. So it is very telling, but like you said, it is not just one thing because you might have some different areas, but based on each, there could be, we would have that conversation and you would say, I'm sorry, well, I feel like I'm kind of this. And then we would kind of, make your math of why that is. So,
God, that's fascinating.
It is. It's a great tool. I mean, I really feel that it is a great communication tool. I mean, really, it's watching your child and looking at them through a different lens. So somebody's home right now. Okay. So yeah, I think that the disc assessment is a great tool. There are different, there's a million behavior tools out there. Why I chose to be certified in this one is because the others don't show, they only show one bar. On our graphs, there's two, which will show who you are when you're in your natural state and then who you are in your stress state. And most tests don't show that. And amazing to see that normally husbands, when they test, you can tell who they are when they're at home versus who they are when they're at work. It's really telling, because who they are at work isn't a lot of times who they are at home. So
Yeah, that is really interesting. And just how it can kind of just change like that, but that you're filling these different roles.
yes. And if you were to take a guess, I mean, just, and I have had people guess and be like, totally surprised. Some people have been on for their superpower guessing it, but some people, well, if you were to take a guess, what was ringing closest to you?
Well, tell me the names again.
So you would have Captain, I'm sorry, Mighty Mom. Mighty Mom. She is very detail oriented. I'm sorry, not detailed, results oriented. And then very decisive, quick decision maker. We have Fun and Forgetful Mom, influencer, really needs to talk to people, likes to be around people. We have the Peacekeeper Mama, doesn't like to break the status quo, wants to make sure everybody's taken care of, very supportive, needs stability. And then there is the Organized Mama. And the Organized Mama is not an easy sell. She wants the details and she wants more details. So what would your guess be?
Well, I can see a little bit of each, but
Your husband say?
what's that?
What would your husband say if I asked him? Because normally that's the most telling.
He would probably say maybe 1 and 4. Um, the first one and the last one.
Okay.
What do you? But can you tell what people are?
There's a lot of times I'm in a conversation, like I'm secretly assessing your behavior. My kids and I, we do that a lot when we go to events or we're around people. It's so, even my kids are so versed in it. A lot of times, some are just like me. I'm 90-90. Everybody who it's a big coaching community, so I kind of, when you're around me, they're like, Emmasara is definitely, if you want to say Mighty Mom or Captain, she's definitely that. So I can, a lot of times I'll do the pre, I call it the pre, where I take a guess. And so far my guesses have been pretty right on. Right now I've done a lot more talking than you have, so I would have to get more of a conversation going with you. So I can't exactly say at the moment, but I am typically pretty good if I'm in a conversation and we've been talking long enough where I can do a guess at what you are.
Yeah. So what am I then? Would you say?
So I can ask you some questions. So in stressful situations, how do you normally react and respond?
Well, I think it is different at home than, maybe out in public, probably. It would depend on what kind of stress that it is, because sometimes I'm just cool and collect, and then sometimes it just depends if, a child's been at me for a while or something like that.
So then we'll jump over to, do you feel like you're an introvert or an extrovert?
I can be both. I can be, really outgoing and all, and then also I like to have my space, especially after a little while, after being out with everyone. So, what's that called? My kids say it's what is it? Where you're an extrovert and an introvert?
Yes, yes, and that is possible to be. Like I said, it is a bar graph, and so I've never seen anybody 100% straight across, but there's definitely people who are more median in the center, and I do have a son like that, and so can be a very powerful captain guy, and come in and just take over. But most of the time, he is extremely quiet. Like all growing up, never said he had a need, didn't know he was in the room. But after we took the DISC assessment, that did make sense, because half of the bar graph will show the extroverts, half will show the introverts. That's why I'm asking the question about that. So it could be that if you're feeling that you're identifying with a lot, it could be that you are one of those balanced people. And that's actually, a great thing if you can be balanced. Like, with him, he's pretty balanced, and he's, going through, he's a redhead, and I don't know what it is with those redheads, but I have 2 of them, and so far, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's proven me wrong about this redhead thing. I would have liked to think that it wasn't a thing, but I don't know. so far they're
So it's your redheads, though.
they're proving that theory correct. But so yes, he can work in both. So it could be. So are you a quick decider? You like to make
Not
quick decisions?
always. No, really, I think that I really look at all the details and and then I've got to, muscle test it, and then I've got to pray about it, and then I've got to, like, or whatever.
Mhm,
So a lot of times, I mean, I can make a decision quickly,
mhm.
in some circumstances, but others I like to know that it's the right decision.
So
Or like
the
my son, he just makes decisions. And he's like, "Why does it take you and dad so long to make decisions?" Just we're like, "Because we don't want to make mistakes. Sometimes you make mistakes." And he's like, "Just make a decision already, you know?"
that's so funny because he's probably, and how is he? He's either, he could be potentially an I, fun and forgetful. Is he pleasure to have in class? Is he distracted, or is he more, aggressive,
He's
a
more,
little bit more wants the
yeah,
wheel? So,
his son.
so he's probably captain.
Oh yeah,
But
he is. I called him the little sheriff when he was a kid. He would make sure everyone was doing everything right. And he's
mhm.
still that way. And he's in charge. Now he's in charge. His sisters have grown up a lot, and he still bosses them around. And yeah,
And like I said, and really, when you have somebody who is a high captain, it's really hard to, or not hard, it's really easy, I should say, to. There's one they kind of stick out like a thumb a lot of times, especially in kiddom, when they're children. So I would think, I mean, just based upon our very short discussion here, you're probably pretty balanced. I would assume you're pretty balanced. If you're even killed, if you feel like you could be somebody who, gets annoyed, but then at the same time, when to keep the peace. Do you
yeah, I want to
feel
keep the
like
peace.
you do keep the peace?
I do.
Okay.
I really want to keep the peace. But like at home, if things need to be said and talked about and all, I'm just, I like to do that too. But maybe out there more, out in public more, I'm more just wanting to keep the peace and, want to make sure that everything goes well and everyone feels good.
Okay. Yeah,
So
this
there's
is
that
good. So
too.
I really think I'm hearing a balance. But if I were to take, a educated guess, I would say that your superpower is probably organized mom. I would say that your second would definitely be peacekeeper. But I think that you're balanced enough on that, like you said, the introvert extrovert, that you have, the leadership capabilities with your kids if you need to. If you need, it's like a leadership by default would probably be more
Mhm.
of your style, leadership by default. Would you say?
I think I'm definitely a leader. So
Would you prefer to lead, or would you prefer to be behind a strong leader?
I would definitely prefer to be in charge, particularly of my family and being able to make decisions that way. So I don't.
So I would say, so you're sounding you really, because even with your introvert extrovert thing, you're really pretty even killed. Like I said, my son is really kind of what you're saying then along that
Mhm.
line.
Yes, I'm
Um,
not. Yeah, I can see how I'm not like my son is either.
mhm.
Um, and and yet still seeing like other things that you're talking about too. Well, and not okay. So the organizer. I'll organize things and then I won't necessarily always do them. So I'm that other one also that's kind of just fun to have around and doesn't always, it's kind of, so I can see myself in all of them.
Yes. Well,
But I
if
do make sure that chores get done every day. We try to get them done at 4 and then we're in bed at, this time and so forth. And we've got to do our things in the morning and definitely organize that way too.
And I mean, we have all these mamas watching. And so one of the assessments I've made is, because I've traveled all over the nation, I've, been around a lot of big families, is one of the assessments that I have made just, being around peacekeeper moms, is that they tend to be perfectionists. And
Hmm.
so a peacekeeper really wants things to be perfect. And one of the things they
That
don't
keeps
want
the
to do,
peace.
yes, they want to keep the peace and they don't want to fail. And the organized mom doesn't want to make a bad decision. Like, the the peacekeeper mom doesn't either, but she just, like, the failure part is really something that, it's almost like it could be, for some mamas it could be like a fear of failure, because they really want things perfect. It's if you're a really really high peacekeeper, for those mamas out there, you're the mama who is like, you've made this cake, everybody's like thank you, Sarah, it's beautiful. We're enjoying it. We can taste the strawberries. You did an amazing job. And she's like, I could have done better. I just, and she just has a hard time giving herself a pat on the back. And so those are all things when I do my coaching that we kind of evaluate and, help a mom to get to a place where she, like I said, is working in her superpower, but then also seeing certain weaknesses, because that would be considered a weakness. And so for you, we're just guessing right now, so I really don't know exactly unless we see it. But I would just say your tendency is probably higher toward, I mean, even if it was like this, and not like, like this, I would say your lean is towards the organized mom. But like I said, this is a short video that we're doing. But you see how fun it is just to even think about
yeah. Because then I can also see that even, just I am a perfectionist in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I think I've always kind of just been my own best friend too, that I'm like, it's okay for the most part, that, that shopping mistake was made or whatever. Yeah, I don't use that like I thought I was going to. It's okay. Where I can see, with other family members that they're like, well, why did you like make that mistake? And I'm like, it's okay. It's all right, so
that's good. You really do sound like you would be on a balanced note. So that's excellent, because when we're able to, because it's more that chameleon action where you can actually switch if you need to. Some people don't even have it in their repertoire, to be able to switch. And so that is the benefit. If you're in the center, it's a lot easier we have what we call coachable differences. And so like in a situation like yours, what I would be looking at is how you act and respond in stressful situations. Because if what your bar should be like this, normal situation, stressful situation, like Jennetta is who she is, in both situations. But sometimes we have a difference that's about that big. So anything between
in a stressful situation.
Yeah, anything between a 10 and an 11 drop, we consider that a coachable difference. And then we have to look at why you're doing that, because when you're operating in that level, what it does is cause you to be less productive. It causes you to be less effective and impactful. And when you're just living that way, like I said, in autopilot, you don't even realize that you are living less effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, because you think, well, now I'm living very effectively, and it's not necessarily always the case. Yeah.
You don't know until you know. I mean, I am also a certified natural health coach, and I was doing that for many years. Like that was my main thing I was doing for like 15 years. So I do have a big health background, but I can't even count how many clients I had who, when they came to me, they didn't even know what true health felt like, because they had been miserable for so long that they have what they consider their average. Like they say, Emmasara, this is when they feel like this. I'm going to show you the difference right now. I'm right here. They're feeling good because they normally feel so bad. This is headaches, this is bloating, this is whatever. So when they get to here, they're thinking they had a good day. But once they would get the health coaching and get up to here, they were like, whoa, I didn't I've been here for like 15 years or 10 years or 4 months or whatever. And then that's the same. It's the same idea with the DISC assessment. It's just a very optimizing tool to help a family be able to communicate in a better, stronger way. But also, like I said, personal awareness. It seems one of the number one things I can say personally as a mother, because this coaching tool is used in a lot of Fortune 500 companies. It's a very strong business tool. But as you know, I'm using it for family. And so like the different terms I have, terms I came up with and, developed the system to provide it for families. But one of the things I think that it's helped with me the most is that it's helped me to have grace for family members, because now you understand they have certain limitations, and you just really
understand. Yeah, that that's them. Then why not just realize there's a lot of positive in that also, whatever they're doing.
And it's also important. Once I did that, I mean, I talked to Jennetta before, but my kids have very high, their success in their youth is phenomenal. And I honestly don't think I could have done it without doing the disc, because once I did that, I was able to optimize their learning, their homeschool, how they homeschool. I was able to understand when a child was pushing because they were disrespectful, and when they were pushing because that was within their personality strength. And so rather than, as a 90-90 and bump heads, which I have plenty of times in my flesh, and when I'm not being, aware and just reacting instead of responding, is I found that when that started to happen now, and it was the negative, now it's the kryptonite, it's the weakness, it's the villain coming to play, that I was able to say, you know what, they have power, they're using it not for a good thing right now. Let's go ahead and direct what was given to them and help them to use it for good.
I love that. Yeah, once you know where a person's coming from and how they could be beneficial in a certain situation, in your or in different situations in your family, how they fit in, and then what their superpowers, can lead them to in life. Your children are already really successful in a lot of different things. And that's so cool that you're able um, to help them to into those paths also.
Yeah. And it is, it's a privilege. And I believe it's a gift that I want to keep on giving. Like, I feel like it's a gift that was given to me to have the understanding. And so it's something that I want to continue. It's kind of like that baton, you grabbed it and now you want to give it to somebody else so that families can keep
Exactly.
running.
And I think that part of what you're doing also with helping that families are so instrumental in our nation and what we can do to improve the way that things are. And can you
Well, to
talk a
me,
little bit about that?
yes. But repeat that one last part again.
The
About,
well, just that our nation needs strong families.
yes.
And what what can families do
Okay.
to and what can parents do raising their families that can help to create a stronger nation?
Well, that's an excellent question. And at the foundation, just as a woman of faith, I honestly believe, obviously, the foundation is always going to be um, having a strong faith foundation within a home. I really believe that morality is, either going to be the lack of morality, I should say, or the upholding of morality is going to be either the degradation of a nation or it's going to be the strength of a nation when families, okay, this is something I felt deeply in my heart last year or 2 years ago when I wrote my book, Mother of Change. When I wrote it and I said that the future of our nation rests upon the families of that time, it was mothers to create change. And now the Lord is really showing me that it's families. It's, yes, it's mothers, but why did he have me start with mothers first, Jennetta? It was because what he was showing me is that moms were getting tired and they were giving up. They were dropping the standard. They were giving in. And when moms started to get tired and give in and give up the standard, then morality started to go out the window. Because before, at least mama was home to keep the morality, even if they were getting all the immoral stuff at school, even if they were getting all the immorality within sports, even if they were getting immorality when they went to cousin's house, there was still a level that was able to be kept at home, which I believe was a preservation for society. And so when mama got tired, which I believe there's a real enemy out there, and I think he wants us fatigued. I think he wants us to throw our hands up in the air and just say, maybe I'll just take a rest. Maybe I'll just go take a nap. Maybe I'll just let them do what they want. Speaking of the children, because I'm tired of arguing with them. I'm tired of, it takes energy. It takes energy to raise a healthy family. It takes energy to keep a standard. And so I think one of the greatest tools that the enemy has, worked over on moms is he's made them tired. I believe he's capitalized it, because there was a time in society in the 1950s where, moms did keep the standard. They did have, we found, my daughter found it. It's a series on YouTube, and it's 1950s. It's etiquette, And it's so, I love it. I was like, oh my God, please redo it. But it's, it's table manners, it's etiquette, it's grooming, it's sitting up, it's eating well. And that all takes energy. And, those women were no less or no more women than we were. And so we have to ask ourselves, what happened from there to here? What happened that caused a mom to give up a standard? And so for me, having strong faith, having strong standards, but you can't have those two things without having strong communication and expect a good result. So in order to have that strength in a family, you really have to have a strong faith, strong standard, and strong communication. And so right now, as families, faith is wavering because, people get nominal, they get religious, they get to the point where they're just, checking off the boxes. We went to church this week, check. And kids know religion, and so I think that they can see through mom and dad's faith. Are they doing it because it's just something that their families did and their families did? And what happens with that whole mindset is that there has been, especially for kids who maybe have been in the public school and now they've come to homeschool, that's a whole different philosophy that has to be retrained out of their head, because I really strongly believe that the government, academia, specifically the education boards, they have an agenda. And they don't want our kids to be home because they say we have an agenda, but you better believe we have an agenda. We want to raise kids who are the light and the salt of the earth. And so I don't feel bad that I have an agenda for my children to rise up and walk in their calling while they're still in their youth and take dominion.
Yeah, you better, huh?
So,
yeah, and don't you think that a lot of the mindset also of mothers has been just that there is a lot of discrediting of mothers and of and of families, that they're not important. You don't want to be barefoot and pregnant, or you don't want to be like at home.
absolutely.
You want to be busy and you want to be doing productive things, and it's all a big lie that it's come about since the era that you have been talking about. It's not cool to be or whatever. Maybe
right.
The coolness is coming back in, but what does that matter? It matters what we're doing in our homes with our children. And yeah.
No, I agree.
I totally
agree that it is, and this is what I say, we have an agenda unashamedly, but the world has an agenda,
Yes.
I really feel that the enemy wants to destroy families, and how is he going to do that unless he takes down mother? That's why I always go back to that. I mean, we understand that fathers play a big role, and I don't ever want to downgrade a husband or a man's place within a home, but I am a woman with a woman's message to women. And so I can only speak of, the personal accountability I have to take and the things I have to choose on a daily basis, even with my own kids, because it is a choice. But this is the thing, is that, and what I love about, and one day I'll come back and I'll give you my testimony of mother of change, but I never wanted to have kids. I didn't want to have kids, not even when I got married. Okay. So for me to have a heart change, and then not only not, have one or two kids, but have 8 kids, and I've actually carried 12 pregnancies. That is a testament of itself. And so I don't take it lightly that this change was made, just half-heartedly, or just even to have kids. It was made, this decision was made and it had a purpose. And so as I was raising my kids, I didn't do it perfectly. And I did a really great podcast, and we can't find it. It's lost on our computer somewhere, but I did a podcast of why I'm not raising good kids. And, everybody just says I want to raise good kids, but that was not my goal. My goal wasn't to raise good kids. My goal was to raise godly kids. And the truth is that, for those who are faith-based in here, David was good, but was he really good? He really had some faults and he really had some flaws. And so I think that when moms are focused on being good and being, raising kids that are good and looking good, then what happens is that you're going to set yourself up for failure. You're going to feel like, the kids are not perfect. You're not perfect. And this is where I said the fatigue gets in, or where you throw in the towel. And then you have people, like you said, media, saying that mom, my whole group last year, I did a lot of undercover work, and I'm talking hundreds of hours of very, very deep work on the state of our nation and the really big ploy of the enemy within parameters of state legislation, media, national things that the enemy is planning for families and children, and what's really going on. And so I spent the time. I didn't go on social media. I went and looked where it really counted. And so that allowed me to be now not just passionate, but educated. And so when I say that there's an agenda to not only make, momhood not cool, but if there's an agenda specifically to destroy the family and its very fabric of what even dictates what a family is, then you have to understand that we have to protect our kids from that agenda.
We've got to think about.
And when you have social media, though, telling you that you can't say this because you'll hurt these people's feelings, you can't say that, but at the same time, they're shoving their way down your throat. But if you try to say, well, this is what I want to do with my family, or this is what I'm doing, or you just even showcase some of the moves that you're making for your family, and then people are poo-pooing you, then especially if you're a high peacekeeper, then there's a tendency to give in, because you don't want to be the unliked one. You don't want to be the one that's different. You don't want to be the one that's shaking the ground. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should just, if you can't beat them, maybe we should just join them. And so I think it's really important, Jennetta, that we provide hope for moms, to let them know that, like I said, when I came on, you're doing a good job, that your job is important, that keeping morality is something that really is something that will create change in our nation. So
yes,
moms, like I said, it comes down to the choice. Am I going to have my eyes open? Because like I said, we can get overwhelmed with laundry and dishes, and we just get into this doldrum of doing mom work. And then we, like I said,
and we're told that it's drudgery, and why are you even doing that? And it seems like, people are saying it's not even important, and it's so not true.
And this is the biggest lie, is that, and this is, this whole, I don't know. I mean, I don't. So I don't know about your gifts. I will be a good girl here, but I'm a very passionate person, and I know I just speak what I feel led. But I do want to make sure that I'm respecting your platform. So I will say this: is that it is a big fat lie that you cannot be fulfilled in your parenting stage, because that is a lie of the world. That you got to kick the kids out of the house, or you got to kick them to the side. So the world says kick them out at 18. If they're a nuisance, like not even a nuisance, they're like, just see you later. Or they say, that kick them to the side and send them to all these different preschools, daycare, just get them out of your hair. But
huge lies. Yeah,
and
throw them out to the enemy, right?
Yeah, so they just want the little, you think about like the Serengeti in Africa, they want our children to be set aside, so those predators, and the predators don't always look big and scary. Sometimes they look like Disney, so
yeah,
you don't
little
really know.
little old grandmas, like, no, that's not what you're up against, right?
Absolutely.
No.
And so I like what
enemy is real.
I'm completely counterculture. That doesn't mean that I'm not fashionable. It doesn't mean that, I don't, I'm not a trend. Like you'll look at my videos from last year, and I've had this probably for 3 years. You'll see me wearing the same thing, but I unashamedly don't really care if you went to my Facebook group and you went down all my videos, you'd be like, does she ever change her clothes? I actually, a lot of the dresses I wear, I have them for PJs and I have them for the house, and it's just not important to me. I mean, I do like nice things, but they're not the most important thing. But what I want to tell moms out there is that, is what I want to tell the mom who is struggling out there, or who feels unfulfilled, or feels that, I'll have to wait till my kids get older in order to do what it is that I want to do. Part of our Family of Change mission is to empower and equip, like I said, families in the areas of faith, family, and finance, to show you, mama, okay, that you actually don't have to be a martyr. One of the greatest lies of the enemy is that a mom, and this is not even the, well, it's the enemy manifested in society, that a mom has to be a martyr. And I don't know why that mentality is around, but a lot of moms feel like if they're a martyr, it's not, I'm not saying that motherhood is not sacrificial, because we sacrifice all the time, but it's a mindset. And so it's really important that moms don't have a martyr mindset, because it's a defeated mindset from the very beginning. And
And what
so,
kind of example is that to our daughters and our sons either?
yes, as if like I had to give it all up for you, and like that's supposed to win a prize. The fact is that everything that I've ever desired, or wanted to be, or, whatever it was, I'm just saying, like when I was young, I wanted to go to culinary school, but it was like, 30,000 the first year. I couldn't go. I was young and single and didn't have that kind of money. Just before I met my husband, I was going to go to cosmetology school, but we ended up, relocating, didn't get to do that. I wanted to go to design school. Once again, didn't happen. But during my time in raising my kids, I've been an interior designer. I've designed stores and restaurants, and I ran a very successful gluten-free bakery. I was a pastry chef. My stuff got tasted and sampled in New York, and got some got approval over there. I do all my kids, my sons have never had to go to a salon to get their hair cut ever. And so, those are just some little things, but during all of that, I included I was a women's director for a women's shelter. I never got a babysitter. I took my kids with me to the board member meeting, so they learned how to sit. They worked with me. They helped, everything. And so we did everything together. So I never thought it was one or the other. It was just very natural for me to say, we're living. And I had desires, yes, but it was providing them opportunities, how to learn, how to be entrepreneurs, how to work together. And so, they didn't have to even have a specific calling when we did those kinds of things. It was more of an opportunity for them to learn. But now that they're older, and as the older they got, the more we started to invest in their specific nuances or the things that interested them. Henceforth, why, I had a son who was able to fly me, co-pilot me on his 16th birthday. We went flying. And so, it's exciting to be a mom. It's, so like Satan is a liar, because it's exciting to be a mom. It's empowering to be a mom.
It is.
That's
In so many ways. Yes, for sure. In so many ways, it's so exciting to be a mom. There's so much that you can do. Yeah. And you could have been and have been a great many things, and you choose to be, to do this amazing thing of being a mom. It's really sad when that's given up because of, just that, it's not supposed to be an important thing to do, and to miss that opportunity, and to miss it because maybe you have children, but you're not really being a mom to them. It's sad.
And I realize obviously some women don't have a choice because their body, the physical features, but
they can be moms in other ways too.
Yes.
And creative in those
motherhood, yes.
Protecting children and teaching them and helping them. And
yes. And God always provides opportunities for those women to be mothers, to, there's so many broken people and children and situations where a mom is needed. And even I look back and I think of, like a spiritual mother, that I've had in the past. And so the mom life is an important life, but that's what I definitely, if you guys remember anything that I said today, just remember that your job is powerful, it's impactful. Don't give up, don't lower the standard. Allow yourself to have a bad day. We all do. Not everybody's house is perfect all the time, and it's okay. And like I said, I've learned, and this is the strange thing, is that when I did have my first 4 kids, my house really was always clean. And now I have 4 older kids and the 4 younger kids, and sometimes I'm like, what did I do right, Lord? Like, I must have forgot something, because not unless these have, like, these 4 little ones have a dirtier gene or something than the other kids. And so I just had to make the decision, though, because I'm a thinker, because I'm actually a thinker, and the Mighty Mom, is that when you hear kids talk about, or adults talk about, fondness in their childhood, I'm always looking at what are they remembering. And when I hear people, this is something that's kind of helped me to be more relaxed with, the condition of the house, and knowing that my older kids grew up so quick, I want some of that time back. I think about the people who said, they remember their mom being that mom who just wasn't super crazy about the house being clean, and she just let us be kids, and we just had fun. I still am working on that area, but I'm a lot better, because I think about that, like, are they going to go and grow up and say, mom was always stressed out, I'm so appreciative they're stressed out about the house. I don't think so.
But then being able to teach them, okay, this is what mom does when she gets stressed out. We're gonna resolve this, and this is how we can do it. And
Yes, I mean, and those of us who like things, and it does actually distress us to, the organizers especially, we like to organize things. It actually is beneficial for us. But when we have the little disorganizers come and disorganize, this is a hashtag mom life transparency moment. I have a drawer in the kitchen that, I have little organizers, I have straws, I have, some things in there. And everybody wants to make it into a junk drawer, but it's not a junk drawer. And I kept telling everybody, this is not a junk drawer. Stop putting the Legos in here, the tape, and they're just throwing it in there. And I told them so many times, and I'm sure anybody have a nobody that lives in their house, because the great nobody was the individual. And anyway,
yeah,
I got a camera. I got one of a little camera. It's like a $20 camera on Amazon, and I put it on top of my refrigerator. And I said, "We're going to catch the great nobody. Let's see who this great nobody is." And basically, I just
how did you do that? You actually did this?
Oh, I did, yeah. And
wow.
I was like, "No," I said, and I told them, I said, though, and it was already a mom's drawer, because it didn't need to be a mom's drawer until they just weren't getting it. So then I was like, it's off limits. But then I still had a trespasser. But they were not saying who was doing it. I don't know if they were mindlessly doing it. They must have been mindful, because since I got the camera, surprise, the drawer is looking, yeah, it's just looking great. So we couldn't catch that nobody.
Yeah, the Mr. Nobody just didn't do that during that time. He knew that you had the camera.
Yes.
Well,
it worked.
Yeah. So what would you say that you would like everyone to just take away from this? And you already said this a little bit, but what is the takeaway from your message today? And I want to have you back on again, because I just really feel that this message needs to be said. And I know that you have a lot of wonderful things to share that can help people to understand, that can help us to understand how important this is, and things that they can do to in making the world a better place, standing where they are and doing this important work. So
as I said, I already gave that affirmation to you, Mom. I've already told you how important you are. So something that you can do as a tangible step, and the Organized Moms love the tangible steps, is to journal affirmations every day. It's really, really important, because we have so much negative self-talk that happens. I do have, it's a Mother of Change journal, and I have a writing prompt in here. And the reason I did this is because I started doing it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's writing prompts in here. And one section is what you're grateful for, and then one is things that you believing God for, and the other is the I am statements. And I just gave an example in here is, I am confident, I'm a gracious mom, I'm a respectful wife, I'm a good listener, I'm a woman who knows the word. And your I am statements are something that should stretch you, something that maybe are not natural for you, so that when you are
where you're kind of like, oh, wait a second, that's not true. Wait, it is true. This is true. I'm going to, this is me.
Like, Mine for a long time is I'm a gracious mom, because when you are higher C, you're less gracious. Just if you are a high organized mom, if the higher you are unorganized, the less gracious you are, and the more you're just going to be less gracious. That's just how it goes. So one of the things can be, basically just I do at least 5 a day of what you are, and speak it as as if you are, so that when, like she said, like Jennetta said, that when you're operating opposite to that, it's just a little reminder to self. Instead of kicking yourself, for what you're not, you're reminding yourself of who you are and who you want to be, and then you will become that person. And so that's just a little step, I would say. And then gratitude is really important. Instead of complaining about something, give gratitude. So, I mean, for the longest time, it was a house issue for us. I have a whole testimony. We were a family that lived in an RV for 5 years, all of us. And so there has been some house situations that I had where I would just go through stages where I was getting impatient or whatever. And so our impatience can turn into complaining, and that's not something positive for ourselves. Something I don't think God likes it at all, as we know. So turning your complaining into gratitude. So that would just be something I would, tangible steps. Is if you find yourself complaining about something a lot, for me it was the housing situation. I had to just stop and be grateful for the things that I had, even though I was really desiring something. We can have a desire about something, but if you're going to desire it, don't complain about it, and just thank God, even in advance. So for me, it was the house situation that is complaining. I wish we had the house and this and this. Thank you, Lord, that that house is coming. Thank you, Lord, for the running water that I have currently. And so
Praise
everything's
the
going
Lord in everything, right? In everything. And
Yeah.
you're blessed in it. When you do that, you're blessed in it. And it really does, because you can look at either side and you can get really down, or you can get really like, I have so many blessings. Yeah, so much to be grateful for.
Yes, I even have I'm looking in my bedroom right now, but on my mirror, I'm a big sharp or dry erase woman. I have I'm grateful, just to remind me to be grateful. So if you are somebody who likes the little notes, the dry erase marker is something else that you can do to put encouragement. Sometimes I write on my microwave, whatever it is I want to do to encourage myself. So that would be about it. I would just say, if it was, if I was ending it, I would say, so, Mother, I said, thank you. I'm Emmasara, Mother of Change. Go out and change the world and start at home. And that's really my heart, is to change the world. We really do have to start at home. So I would just encourage your viewers to start with the change within your home, so that the world will the world will have that change that they so desperately need.
And do you have this journal on your site?
So all my books, just to make it easy, they can go to emmasara.com. And that kind of will funnel them through all of my other stuff I have. EMMASARA, Emmasara.com. And then that will link to the Extreme Change University. There's one of the links that has my books and everything on it, and all the information. So, yes.
So powerful. Thank you for all that you are doing for the world, for families, for children. And thank you so much for coming on on this video today with me and talking to us about this. It's such important things for us all to remember. And this has been really uplifting. And I just thank you so much, Emmasara. I really, really appreciate you for being on with us.
Thank you for the invite, and thank you to the whole Facebook family here watching today. Thank you. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.